All right. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining. If this is your first time joining, we're working on this sort of app here. It's like a movie app. All I'm really focusing on right now is sort of like the UI development of it and some of the animations and interactions and stuff that are going on. And hey Nico, how's it going? I'm doing good. And so this is kind of where we left off yesterday, kind of in a janky state, but we're able to kind of pick a poster here and transition. It's a few things going on, but you know, definitely still some weirdness there. So we're gonna try and make it a little bit better today. If you haven't been following along, this is sort of the design that we're going off of. So we'll try to get further along, see where we end up. Hey Abraham, good to see you here. So let's dive in. See, let me make this a little bit bigger. All right. Where do we end up here? Okay. Let's see. So basically, we've got a lot of work to do in this movie poster composable. So Vivek asks, doing animation stuff in Jetpack Compose is somewhat easy or not? It can be. I mean, so I haven't played around with the animation APIs as much as a lot of other people. So honestly, even though I work on Jetpack Compose, like some of what you'll see me doing is just sort of figuring these APIs out. So, you know, I might be working on it as like any other user might be discovering these APIs for the first time. I might have quite a bit more context into like some things, just not everything, right? And the animation that we're doing here is like can be kind of complicated. And I'm not sure that like everything I'm doing is the kind of the best path for these animations or not. So here we've got this movie poster composable. Hey Vitor. And I mean, I guess we should try and clarify like what should we try and improve here? Ooh, that's weird. Okay. So I mean, it looks like there's some weird jank from what I added the other day with this thing. I was kind of trying to use these animated floats and kind of do this like tracking code, which may not be the right way to do this. I think maybe I initially kind of shied away from this transition definition API because you're only defining two states. There's like an expanded state and an unexpanded state, but I don't know. I think this might be. We're getting to some complexity here, maybe partially because there are some APIs missing, but I think I've kind of decided I'm gonna try and move towards this transition definition API and see if some things clean up or if I feel better about it. Okay, yeah, Vivek, you know, I know the timing here is not great for all time zones, so it'll all be recorded and on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to tune in later, it's totally fine. So actually, before I move over to the transition definition API, I kind of want to finish what we were doing here with this. I've kind of decided that this animated to API kind of feels, or it feels like this might be a reasonable API to have, whether the implementation is different or not. Let's do, what I kind of want is if we have an animated value of t, so right now there's an animate to method. Gosh, my computer is struggling. I'm wondering if I should try and close some things. Okay. So right now there's already like an animate to API, which I think we can bring it up here. So this is on base animated value, and you animate to a target. So if you have an animated value of t, then you can animate it to a specific target of the same value. And I think that it might be reasonable to have an API like this. I wonder if this should be base. What is this yelling at me for? Oh. Vector t. Okay, so v is just an animation vector. Okay, so let's try that. TV. So I think having an animate to function where instead of passing in a target, which is of type t, that actually you instead pass in a lambda to type t. And so then that's sort of semantically like a dynamic value. And then what we can do is we can create a snapshot flow of that target. And then we end up animating, we just call animate to each time. And we also give it a coroutine scope. Hey, Sergey. Yeah, that's nice. So Kafer asks, we always talk about the code. How is it going on your job and YouTube journey? Did it kind of work out as you expected? I mean, I can speak a little bit to that, I guess. But I mean, overall, I think things are going pretty well. You know, I've gotten over 1,000 YouTube subscribers and over 500 Twitch followers. So that's good, I think. It seems like most streams, if you count both YouTube and Twitch, It seems like I'm settling in around like 35 to 40 average viewers, which I think for just sort of starting out, that seems pretty good. I'm like pretty happy with that number. And it seems like there's a good number of people watching videos after I upload them, which I think kind of makes sense. Like, you know, Twitch is normally used for gaming, which I don't think that content has a lot of value after you upload it, or like, except for when it's live. It seems like the content is less valuable. Whereas what I'm doing here, I think that there's some value to it, whether it's live or not. So I think I'll have more people kind of watching after the fact. I've kind of gotten into a groove where starting a stream and kind of initiating it and working isn't that difficult. Like, it's not a lot of work for me. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something where I don't have to spend a bunch of time preparing, and I'm not spending like a huge chunk of my available time to just get some production out the door or something. And that was part of the goal with like the live format. And I'm probably gonna, you know, streamline a few things. One of the things, so someone actually mentioned to me, let me bring it up. What was it called? Yeah. So a friend of mine worked on this thing called Reflect, which is a pretty cool idea. So basically it's like a script that you can run locally, and what'll happen is, as say I'm working in my IDE and like editing files, it's this like app that sort of watches a directory and then basically streams that directory to like a website where you can view the same file structure in like a pretty nice navigatable way, and like I think this could be a cool thing to integrate into the stream, where whenever I'm streaming, if like the window that I'm looking at in the IDE or something isn't exactly what you want to look at, like if you wanted to go and look at a closer look at some function I defined earlier or something like that, this seems like a pretty cool way to accomplish that. And so I don't know, I'm thinking about using this in some capacity. And there might be other things like that where I'll try and improve on like the quality of the stream in certain ways, and maybe be, you know, clever about some things. I don't know. I just set up, so I've got this like, you know, wide angle room view, which I set up. I don't know, I might be integrating that at some point in some way. But yeah, overall, I think it's cool. I think it's being well received, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's not taking up so much of my time that it's not worth it. And so I'm definitely gonna try and keep the schedule going, and I do want to try and perfect the like pair programming experience a bit better. I had Gabe Peel on the first week that we did this, and I haven't had anyone else on since, mostly because there were some technical issues that we ran into, and my computer was really struggling to deal with everything at the same time. And so I want to try and improve on that before having someone else on. But I do want to do that kind of more often, do something in that format. So thanks for asking. I I think it's going pretty well, but you know, let me know if there's anything that any of you think I could improve on or anything like that. Hey Dev Souza. Hey Phil. How's it going? So Dev Souza, I haven't used it yet. So this was a suggestion from a friend of mine who actually built it, and I think I'll try and incorporate it in the future, but I haven't done that. So you can't go anywhere right now to get the code. Okay, so this animate to function, I think actually is somewhat valuable. What it allows me to do is like basically say I can pin this. I can pin like one animated value to another animated value with like a spring in between them, basically. And so that's pretty neat, I think. And so then this would end up being t.value. I wonder if there's a nice way to not use this coroutine scope, or like wonder if there's a better API for this, where it can be the trailing lambda, and I don't have to do this remember coroutine scope thing. I'll have to think about that a little bit more. The other thing that we could do is we could create an animated value. So if this is just like what we wanted the value to be, well, no, I don't think that's that useful. Yeah, anyway, I'll think about it more, but we'll keep this function lying around because I think it might be a useful API. Abdelilah says, hello, I was wondering if there's a list of available material design components for Compose. The docs are quite poor. I'm not sure there's like a specific list like you just mentioned, but there is like this. There's this pretty cool website that I believe Vinay Gaba made, which is it's just jetpackcompose.app. I'll add this to the chat, and what you can do here is like you can find certain things, and so you can say, okay, if you used this before, then maybe this is what you want. That might help you out a little bit, but the docs, if you, I'm assuming that the docs that you're saying are poor are these docs, and so I don't know. I mean, if we just go to material and you look at like top level functions, then this is like maybe a pretty good start of like what APIs are there. But I agree that the presentation of these components is not very good, and we're working on improving how the documentation gets generated and things like that in a world of Compose. Nicholas asks, do you have a time frame when we can expect a 1.0 release? I have nothing to offer you other than what has already officially been said, which is we plan on publishing a 1.0 sometime next year. Hey, Joe NRV. See, Dev Souza says the reflect.sh only shows the video, no instructions on how to use it. Yeah, it's I mean, I think that it's not like attempting to be a like highly branded product or anything. It's just something that you know, someone built and is using, and so the landing page isn't super instructive. Sergey asks, will Compose follow Flutter's way in terms of having a bazillion handy dandy composable widgets, or will it rely on modifiers, etc.? Not sure exactly what you're asking, but I mean, generally speaking, we use modifiers for things that sort of apply to a single element in the tree, a single thing that it can modify. And we use composables to create sort of higher level abstractions that participate in the, you know, in the layout system, and, you know, might have multiple children and things like that. So I don't know, a little bit of both maybe is the answer. Not sure if that is what you were asking or not. So Abdulila asks, I didn't know about that website. Are the docs only managed by Google, or can the community like myself contribute? I'd love to contribute in some way. Great question. So all of the docs that you see are generated docs. So we generate these docs with basically these like KDoc annotations. So if we like go to something here, let's see. So for instance, if I go into the source for column, I can see that this is going to be the sort of generated documentation for column. So I can pull that up. All right. So this is sort of the documentation. So if you wanted to contribute by improving this, then that would, you know, certainly be one way to do it. We also have these samples. So I'm not sure. I don't think the command click's going to work. But we have actual code in the repository that has like sample code, and they're annotated with this like @sample thing, and then they're referenced in the documentation with this @sample kdoc directive. And we really need a lot more of these. We don't have that many yet, and I'd like us to add a lot more. But adding samples like that would be a great way to contribute if you wanted to put up a CL to AOSP to do that. That would be tremendous. Yeah, Dev Souza says the sample doesn't work. You can't command click through it. You actually can in the Compose code base. So like if this is not in a, like when you have the linked sources, so this is like an external file here, then it doesn't work. But if it's in the actual active project of IntelliJ, then it will navigate to it. So that's sort of a bummer. I'd love it if we could fix that, but So Programma Dorothy says, hi Leland, good to see a boring show composed version and a beautiful app being built. Keep going, congrats. Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. Sergey says, I'm talking about the widget catalog Flutter has. It literally has hundreds of small widgets for any occasion. Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of like a case-by-case basis. Like there are some things that we might say, okay, we'll add this to our public API, but right now the focus, I guess, is not to build like a bazillion, small little things, but more our focus is to make sure that the foundation of Compose is solid, so that building those things in the long term is going to be nice, and that we're not going to be regretting any of these like fundamental subsystem design choices or anything like that. And so that's where our focus is right now. Okay. Yep, no problem. So all right, let's kind of cancel some of this that we're doing here and instead move to a transition definition, which I think will be kind of interesting. I myself haven't used this API all that much, so we'll be experiencing it for the first time together. But I have seen it used a number of times, so just haven't used it myself. So okay, so this transition definition, it's sort of like this DSL where we create the multiple states, and here I'm sort of thinking of this as just two states. It's either expanded or not, and so then this is like the expanded state. And this false will be the unexpanded state. Gosh, my computer's really slow right now. Transition definition is a part of the animation API in Compose, so it's not a function that I wrote. So I think one of the things I do here, so let me. So this returns a mutable transition state, which has this like set thing on it, which basically lets me say this image width, right? So we've created a float prop key, so that means that like the image width here, this sort of acts as like a key for a float value, and semantically it like represents the width of our image. So I'm gonna say that so we're kind of using the screen width here as part of this. Well, we have expanded and expanded width, expanded width and normal width. So I'm gonna say, let's say this is a make poster transition, and we'll say this will have an expanded width and a normal width. And then we can use that here. So I'll say that the image width is expanded. And then the unexpanded is the normal width. I wonder if this should be like a DP prop key. Yeah. Sorry, my computer is really slow right now, so I'm struggling to define some of this stuff. So in the expanded state, the image scale is going to be 0. We want to shrink it essentially down to 0, and then here it'll be 1. So Ibrahim asks, does the code exist on GitHub or something so that we can take a deep look? Yes, it does. So let me pull it up. So that I just linked to the GitHub repository. Okay. So let's define a transition here. So what we want, yeah, so I think, so here we say when we transition from true to false, or let's go from false to true. That's the more important one, I guess. And I think this has a tween API. Yeah, so let's see, what do we do here? Oh, okay, so I think let's look at what this transition spec has on it. So the default animation is spring. So it defines and then using. So using is basically what we want. So prop key uses this. Okay. So I guess we'll say, you know, we want to transition image width key using yeah, spring. So I mean, one thing we might want to do is like let's just start playing around with some of the spring constants, which might let us kind of understand what's going on a little bit more. So here we'll say the damping ratio so let's say it's like high bouncy. This isn't actually what we want, but like it'll make it more clear like what's going on. And so then stiffness, let's say spring dot stiffness low. And we'll try that. So now in our function, what we want to do is we want to say state, let's see, transition, and then we'll pass in a make poster transition here with the expanded width and the normal width. So maybe we'll move this into its own line. Basically, we're just gonna remember this as long as these don't change, which they shouldn't. But if they do, then we'll recreate a new transition definition. So now when I call transition, I get back this state here, which I'm gonna comment all of this out here. I might need to use some of this in the transition definition. We'll see. So, and then in this case here, I'm gonna say image scale instead. And then we can go ahead and make an alpha as well. Oops. And so let's see, in the expanded state, the alpha is also going to be 0, and the alpha is going to be 1 in the unexpanded state. So it's really the same as scale, but you know, we're just doing it twice. That's fine. So I still need to deal with the width. That's the thing that was a little bit off. I'm not sure what was happening with this this like effect here. So when I'm yeah, well, we'll get it going once and then we'll see what it seems like, but I'm not sure why it was going up and then coming back down in that animation. Sergey asked What does the warning wrapped into a reference object to be modified when captured into a closure? It throws when I pass my immutable state of prop to some lambda. Hey Aditya, how's it going? Sergey, I'm not sure where that warning is coming from or why, but it sounds like what it means is that it's warning you when you have a like a local var and you're capturing it in a closure. What happens under the hood is in order to like handle that, the like local, let's say it's an int or something, so you have like a var of an int and then you're mutating it in a closure. In order to handle that properly, what the Kotlin compiler will do is it'll turn that int into a wrapped int, like a ref object. And so then you'll capture the ref instead of the int directly, and that means that if the int is mutated in some other scope, that the lambda will still have access to that mutated value. And so that's what that means. But I'm not sure exactly the context of the warning and stuff like that. So we've got this image width here. Let's try width. Does Compose support colored shadows? Right now it doesn't. I would like for it to, but we're trying to figure out what the best way to provide support for that would be, because only newer API levels actually support it. And so unlike Flutter, for instance, Compose doesn't ship with its own instance of Skia. It uses the platform's Skia canvas. So what that means is that on older phones, the version of Skia that they have shipped with it won't support colored shadows, which means that if we wanted to support it, we'd have to do something to generate that effect. And we could create it in a few different ways, and some of them have different performance trade-offs and things like that. And so we're trying to figure out what the best option there is. But at the moment, there's no like built-in support for colored shadows in Compose, unfortunately. Okay. I think so. This will build, but I'm not sure it's going to do the right thing. So this is like the full width here. Yeah. Expanded. Okay, so expanded width and normal width is the width of like the full poster and not just the image. So I think what we want to do here is say we move the poster padding into a constant. Gosh, computer is slow. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to create a separate key for the overall width and the image width. So let's just duplicate that, and we'll have width here. So Dev Souza asks, would it be hard to also ship the new version of Skia because newer versions would have optimizations and new features? Or is this not the case? So that's one option. We could bundle Skia with, you know, the Compose runtime on older devices. The problem with doing this is that it you know, it's pretty big. So that would be like several megabytes that the app would, you know, then grow by, and we're not sure that that's the right trade-off. So it is something that was being considered though. So this is the image width. Try that. So in this case, we want to pass in the image width to the image, and then this to the column. So I think this will like kind of work. It's probably not going to look very pretty, but let's just see what it looks like. Okay. I wonder if there's some way to change the what I kind of want to do is I want it all to be a bit slower. So I think maybe I can just give it a much smaller spring constant. See what this is. So very low is 50. I don't know. Let's try that. I guess that's like one of the constants, so we can see what that does for us, and we can go even lower if we want. Oh yeah, so that's a good point. Is if we shipped our own version of Skia, then we'd have to do something similar to what Flutter does, with like basically embedding ourselves in a surface view equivalent, which is, yeah, it's just going to be really difficult. And for us, the interop with existing views is really important. And so it's probably not the route we're going to go, but it was discussed. And then Fetty 2016 asks, did I try Flutter? Yeah, so I've used Flutter like mostly from the perspective of someone working on Compose. But like I haven't used it as like a professional software engineer to like build a product. However, I have used a lot of other toolkits, just not Flutter. So Aditya says, I was watching Dan Abramov's React Hot Loader talk where he used a utility and displayed all the actions a user did in a time travel format, and wondered if we could do it in Compose by saving the slot table. Yeah, you can, and it's actually, you wouldn't like save the slot table necessarily. I mean, you could if you wanted to do something like that for everything, right? Like if you want, like, you could save the slot table, and that would kind of, it would appear like you're saving the kind of entire state of your UI, and then you could like scrub back and forth between that. I'm not sure that would be a good idea, but you can do essentially exactly what you know, Redux does with like, so I think you're talking about like React Hot Loader, but I think you're also talking about like the Redux dev tools and things like that. And the way that works is like Redux essentially saves a copy of its state for every state change, which is like an action triggers state changes. And you could very easily build like a system, a state management system similar to this in Android, and you could scrub between them. And I think that some people have actually done this. I think maybe Zach Klippenstein or something at Square. I think that they were doing this with some state library or something like that. But to answer your question, it is certainly possible, and yeah, I hope people play around in this space, because I think it is really interesting. Let's see, where was I? So we've got this thing kind of animating, which I'm not sure where. I guess I changed the stiffness. So it looks like Good Boys, the text here, looks like it goes down. I'm not really sure why, because we should be reducing the width, right? So, oh, I guess not. Yeah, so we don't want this. Basically, we want to say, okay, I mean, if we ended up moving this down to 0, let's just see what that looks like. Uh-oh. Failure? oh, so the unexpanded height is actually what we want. So it's interesting, Coil has a problem with the width and height being 0, which is something that we might want to think about. Let's just put in like 1 dp or something to be safe. And then we'll probably want to like remove that or something from the hierarchy. I'll have to think about that. Okay. Uh-oh. Alright, what's the problem this time? Min width ended up as -26. That is weird. What happens if we just pass in 10? Yeah, so Aditya says, Zach did it with workflow, but I wanted to try something directly in Compose without integrating that. Maybe like a top level composable, which observes the state changes. Yeah, I mean, I think that you could do some interesting things where, like, basically the way that snapshot state objects work is a state object has an associated state record, and that record you can kind of think of as the immutable copy of it. That's typically what a record kind of refers to. In this case, it's not strictly immutable, but you could maybe tweak the snapshot system to like essentially save like a history of records, and you might be able to do that in userland too. I think the way the snapshot system works is like if you opened up a read-only snapshot of basically every snapshot, and then you kept them around as like a basically like an array of the history of things, then it would probably just work, because I think what like the state system it'll reuse records when nothing is referring to them anymore. But if you opened up all of these read-only snapshots and you never closed them, then the state system would end up using a lot more memory, because you'd have like all these copies of it lying around. But it might work pretty well for like what you're trying to do. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting idea. I wouldn't try like saving or copying the entire slot table, but I think saving or storing all of the state objects in this manner could be like via the use of a snapshot. I think that could be a pretty good approach, and you might want to ping Chuck Jazdowski about this. He might have some pretty good ideas about how to accomplish this. Okay, so something, for some reason min width is going to -26. Um, I'm not really sure why though. Image width. So where are we using that? We're using that here. I wonder. So I don't know. Let's. This is the size modifier. Makes sense. I'm not sure why anything would be negative though. Does anyone else see that? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Oh. Oh, okay. I guess this is probably let's see. Padding. Well, no, I don't know. Does anyone see why this would be negative? So let's see. I mean, if we keep both of these, or the width key calculation. What's wrong with it? $435. Yeah. I see that, but I don't actually know how it would, because I mean this is a known constant. So this is 20 dp. So that's 40 dp. And then normal width is coming in from here. Which I mean this is being passed in a constant. Which normal width, it's the screen width times 0.6. Oh, that's it. Yeah, it's the bouncy spring. I bet. Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. Thank you for that. So I probably shouldn't be using the bouncy spring for the width here. Where did this go? Okay. So I mean, realistically, I don't need to specify this. I mean, this should work, right? Let's just make sure that works. Forget, there's a way for me to specify like keyframes. I'm trying to figure out what that is. So this is a keyframe spec. Okay, all right. Okay. I mean, that kind of makes sense. So this is pretty neat, as is. So I kind of want that to be 0 dp now. And then, actually, I don't know, maybe 1 is okay. Let's see. This general column here, what I kind of want to do is I want to make that like scrollable eventually, because it's sort of like where the content is residing. But let's see, just for now, we should start generating some of that other content. Okay, so like if you look here, basically the rest of the content, it kind of fades in and animates up a little bit. So let's start like making some of that fake content. I'm gonna pause it there. Let's do some of that, because I think that'll make this it'll make playing around with this animation a little more interesting. So, and then we'll work on animating this like star rating thing and maybe doing something for that as well. But so let's just say like if expanded. Yeah, so Sergey asks, why are there no align prop key sort of things to animate the alignment of elements? I mean, the short answer is that like it's not like a scrubbable thing in terms of how alignment is implemented. Like when you change the alignment of objects, like it results in the elements being placed in two different configurations. There's like with this alignment and this alignment, and you could then create an animation that like tweens between them, but it's not the same way in that like we don't have like a way for you to pass in like if I tried to pass in like dot align and then some like tweened alignment, there's no way to kind of represent like a half value of alignment. I mean, arguably you could maybe create one, but we don't have one right now. And so instead, probably what we would do is like, if you had something like this, this could be alignment.top, else center, or something like that. What we might do is give you like an animate, child positions or something like that, which would allow you to animate between those things. And that's like one idea, but that's sort of the underlying reason as to why there isn't something like that. Okay, so inside this expanded content, what I'm gonna do is, let's say we'll create actors And then style be let's just use the typography dot h1. Introduction. And then we'll have a row here of essentially like images and like a name, which I'm just gonna make a composable for that real quick. I'll call it actor, and let's see, string, and then image string. Do something like that. And then let's add this to our movie list here, our movie object. In addition to chips, we can have actors, which can be a list of actor, and we can have a movie actor data class. File name, file URL, image, something like that. What's wrong with this? Conflicting overloads. Oh, yeah, because I just whatever. So let's create a few of these, and I'll maybe just steal some images off the internet. So I'm just looking at images right now. I wonder if there's maybe a better source to get smaller ones. MDB Phoenix. Oh boy. Handful of images here. Are they sorted by? I guess this isn't like very good for headshot images. They're all like stills from movies. All right, I'm not gonna worry about the image size for now. You know, one of the things that I might do is like, I know there's like a movies DB API or something like that. Like it might be a good idea to try and make this app work off of this API. That would be cool. Like what does it give us? So here's movies. Does it give us images? Yeah, I think so. That's what this poster path is. That might be a pretty good thing to do. Logo path. Okay. Oh, production companies. Interesting. Is there a poster? So this one is poster path null. Oh, interesting. So they have a backdrop. What does this do? So is it movie TV or like does anyone know where the images come from? I guess we can find out here maybe. So okay, image, interesting. So this is probably what that is. So if I do, nope. Okay. Anyway, maybe I'll look at that in more detail later, but yeah, let's see if we can. So, Joker. All right. Yeah, I mean, this is probably the best thing for us to do. So maybe I'll work on that next time. Is we'll migrate over to this like API. I think that could be like a cool process because it looks like it basically has all the data that we want anyway. So let's see. So let's just mock this for now. So say actors, movie actor. Robert De Niro, copy image address. All right, let's just start with that. And so now we'll go down here. Movie.actors.for each. Just go ahead and do that. Oh, sorry. Not showing you the IDE. Okay, and then for the introduction, I guess the movie DB doesn't have something there. Well, let's just do this. Introduction. Thank you, Sergey. So let's add a introduction here. Let's see what that looks like. And then for this, we'll just give it like body 1. And let's, I don't know, see how that looks. Okay, so we'll go to Joker. Ooh, a little big. And then it's not scrollable, so... Oh, and then I didn't put anything for actor. Sorry, this is what it looks like. Not great. But we'll work on that. So then this is going to be a column. And... pass in the image to coil, and then we'll have a text with the name. So the H1 is going to be kind of big for our purposes, so let's see what like H3 looks like. And I didn't see what the body looked like, but that's all right. Time being, and then let's see what size were these? So this was 138 by 175. Modifier. .tp 175. Yeah, so Programador asks, are you using the app preview? I see you using the emulator all the time. Yeah, so right now I'm using the device mostly because, you know, a lot of, well, there's a couple reasons, but like, one, we're dealing with some like gestures and animations and stuff. And so for that, I think a real device is good to be able to play around with that in that way. Another reason is that the preview right now doesn't currently deal with remote images, so like downloading from the internet, and I don't really want to, you know, have like resources for all these images and stuff. I don't think that's realistic. And I don't know. Those are the two main reasons. But yep. Oh, and then also for like the stream itself, in like basically I have the emulator set up to where I can like easily show it, and it's in a very specific spot on my stream. Although one might argue not the ideal spot, but it's at least something that I can control, and know that it's like not getting blocked by the comments or something like that. And so those are kind of the reasons going into it. So why didn't... I'm gonna add an introduction to each one of these. Actually, I just think I'll just copy these actors for each one. I forgot that I only defined it for Joker, so that's why it's broken right now. But, or not broken, but that's why it didn't show up. Like, if I go here, I guess. Ooh, is this? That's something I'll have to... Okay. Weird. Something, I guess something's off. Well, that kind of worked. Okay. So... Let's see. Let's tweak some of these images a little bit. So let's see, let's give this these like a rounded corner. Background. Or do I just want to do, I guess just clip. So rounded corner shape. And let's give this like a 4 dp corner. And then let's see, let's give it like a little bit of padding. Let's give it like a right padding. It's weird that that didn't show up. So right equals 2080p, something like that. Am I wrong that there should be like an overload of padding that deals with that? Oh, it's end, not right. That makes sense. Okay. And then I'm gonna make this here into a scrollable row, which will let us, you know, swipe between those things. Let's see how that looks, I guess. And then I don't know, body 1 and body 2, give that a shot. Really, I should just define these typographies, but I'm being lazy right now and not. So sorry for that. Then let's give this a little bit of padding. Modifier, padding, bottom, I don't know, 16 dp. I wonder if that we should maybe have that be part of the typography style. I don't know. And then this is probably gonna have like a different emphasis on it, but not gonna worry about that for now. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Oh, I have to disable the scroll for the, let's go ahead and do that. We need to, oh, sorry, you haven't. So, I mean, this is not bad, right? Like we're getting there. But now if I scroll this, then, you know, it's still, basically when it's expanded, we want to disable the scrolling of the parent. So let's go ahead and do that. So in our carousel, see. So consume scroll delta. This is like kind of what tells the scrolling system like whether or not you're actually consuming that scroll. And so if we're expanded, then we just want to return 0 here. And what that means is this. Oh, it's an animated float. Oh, actually what I want is expanded index not equal null. And so basically here what I'm saying is we're not going to consume any of the scroll if it's expanded. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make the poster itself scrollable. So let's figure out how we want to do that. So here we are in the movie poster. And so basically this could be a scrollable column. Let's try that. So this is kind of nice in that it lets me just pass in an is scroll enabled flag. So I don't need to deal with like the whole state kind of thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that because that seems nice. Oh, what's wrong here? Wait. I need to pass in a modifier. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is some pretty obvious feedback here, is that scrollable column now uses the wrong name, right? Horizontal alignment, or no, does it not? No, it's still right. So I'm not sure what the deal is there, but is scroll enabled. It's going to be expanded. Okay, now it resolved, I guess. I'm not sure why it wasn't resolving before. It's kind of weird. And then let me think. So I guess one question is there padding here that we want to be the content padding? Yes. So this padding, we want to be the content padding. Content padding. I kind of hate padding values here, but okay. That seems reasonable. And then this bottom padding, I don't think we need, I don't remember what that was for, but I don't think we really need that. So let's see what that looks like. Okay. So I can still scroll here, and then I can animate that, and now that just scrolls there. And this isn't scrollable, but I think that might be just because there's not enough content in there. We can always, like, let's just ensure that there's going to be enough content by quadrupling that. The other thing is maybe I'll just add some top padding here. So Sergey asks, I saw I can change the text color by setting the color property of the text composable and also via the text style property. What is the canonical way to change the text color? That is a good question. Basically, I would say it depends. Like, I don't know if there's a canonical way. I would say it depends on your usage. So if you only want to change the color and nothing else, then just pass in the color parameter. But sometimes it might make sense to save an entire text style object somewhere, like say in a top level property or something, and you're reusing it in multiple places. And in that case, setting the style property is more convenient because you're just passing in one parameter, and then you can pass that in to multiple texts, and it's very easy and concise. And then setting that color wherever the text style object is created is then what you would do. And so there's not one sort of right or wrong way. It's just that both options are available to you for convenience. If that makes sense. So, all right. So now this is scrollable as well. And actually, so what I'm not sure if the video even, if the mockup even shows this or not. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, so this design here never really scrolls up. But if I were to sort of intuit what I think the designer would want, which may or may not be true, I feel like the white panel should scroll up until it fills the screen. That I think that has like a nicer feel to me, and so I'll probably change it to do that. But let's go back to like some of the other animations here. So what I want to do is I want to like fade in and animate the body content here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna do that by passing in a modifier to this, and I'll make it a draw layer. And so I'm gonna animate the opacity and also the translation. And that's actually it. So, right? Yeah, that's it. So let's make 2 properties for that. Body scale property. Body alpha t. And we'll specify both of those here. Oh, sorry, it's not scale that we're doing, it's translate. So I want the final result of the translation to be 0, but it'll start off maybe at 100. And the alpha will start off at 0 and it'll end at 1. No, Sergey, don't apologize for the questions. It's one of the reasons I like doing these streams is to get questions thrown at me and to see what people are wondering about. Okay, so let's use that here. Body alpha. let's just see what that looks like. So it feels like it's kind of animating in, but it's not. Like it seems like the translate is working, but not the alpha. Is that right? So that looks right to me. Julius asks, have I figured out how to track animated values? Yeah, kind of. Basically, what I did last time was more or less correct, but I guess the one question is whether or not we should have a first class API for it. But this is kind of, I think, a reasonable way to do it. But I don't like what all is needed here. But so this is an API that we could add if we wanted to. But I mean, it's doable in user land as well. We're giving an animated value and animate to overload, where instead of a static target, which would just be a value, you can give it a lambda to sort of get the target value, and that getter will kind of continuously sort of do this as it changes. So as the target value becomes dynamic. So this is sort of what you could do. But I moved over to using the poster transition, or the transition definition API, and I'm kind of relying on that right now. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start defining some keyframes and animating things in that way to produce a similar effect. Nicholas asks, is it possible thus far to create nested scrollable views in Compose? I'm thinking something like nested recycler views, one vertical view with horizontally scrollable views. So the answer is yes. Nested scrolling is sort of first-class citizen in the scrolling APIs, and it's one of the reasons why these consume delta functions require you to return an amount consumed, because if I return some number here like 0 and the delta is positive, what the gesture system's going to do is it's going to propagate that scroll upwards and say, and try to find something else that's going to consume that scroll. So in other words, like the nested scrolling. Right now, I'm not sure how well that plays with our kind of like virtualized APIs, like the lazy column and lazy column 4 and stuff like that. But the intention is for them to work very well with that. So what you're asking should work, but may not work perfectly right now with the lazy column APIs. I'm not sure. Let's see. Stage asks, can parents intercept scroll events like in the old view system? It would mean something different. So the pointer input, like gesture system and compose, like it's built to allow for you to essentially like intercept on both the up and the down phase, like and consume events, which will then prevent like your child from using the events and vice versa. So basically yes, but it may not look exactly like you're thinking it would. Sergey says, last question for today. Compose allows you to easily animate any property, width, height, etc. Are there some things which we should try to avoid animating or changing them as little as we can? Subtext here of the question, I assume, is like for performance reasons. I mean, yes, but let's see, like, I mean, it's kind of the same rules that apply anywhere else. Like, you know, there are some things you can change which affect layout and some things that don't. And the ones that do are going to be more expensive than the ones that don't. It also depends on what you're laying out and you know, how much it affects. So I don't know. I guess I don't really have like a solid guideline for you there, other than that, you know, you can think of Compose as having like 3 systems here, which is like composition, layout, and draw. And whenever you're doing something, the sort of fewer of those systems that you change, then the less overhead that you're going to have. But then there's also, you know, there's things in draw, for instance, that can be more expensive than other things. And I don't have a good sense for all of those, but yeah. So the answer is yes, but I'm not sure I have like the good rules of thumb for you at the moment. Let's see. So I want to try this like keyframes thing. So like, let's try this with the alpha, for instance. So body alpha. I think this is like kind of the way to do it. But I'm not sure what this means exactly. So, okay. So this is a spec config. Oh, I think I can I do that? Can I say duration? Okay. So I wonder if I do this. So if I say, actually, is there like a default? Transition spec. So this is a default animation, but I can't set it. Interesting. Okay. Interruption handling. So what about this? So it has a default state and transition specs, and Okay. So let's make the body thing like take a long time, right? So let's say equals, let's say it takes 3 seconds. Does that need to be a long? No, it's an int. Can I not set this? It's a var. Oh, interesting. I can set a delay. The animation. Can I use that for the spring? Interesting. Wait, no, this is something different, right? Yeah, so I can't set a delay for the spring config. That would be kind of nice though. That would give me something that I wanted. But okay, so let's try using this keyframes. Delay. Okay. Like I wonder what happens if we just do that, right? So the default duration is 300. So I wonder if I do this for both the body alpha and body translate. Then I think that that'll start whenever the other stuff ends. Let's see if that works. Okay, thanks, Nicholas. All right, so yeah, so that basically worked. So we could use like a different, what is this read about? Value must be greater than or equal to 0, which it is. Precedent range. Why is this is not working correctly? This range thing. It like for some reason thinks that this is wrong, even though I mean it is greater than 0. Okay, weird. So I wonder if we set this instead to like 200, and then we said easing. Isn't that what I can do? Like right now, I think it's linear, and that's not what I want. Okay, so I say with easing. What is a keyframe entity? Keyframe entity. I don't really know what a keyframe entity is, so with Oh no, that's not what I want. Yeah, we probably shouldn't define width here. Let's see if we can find usages of this. All right, maybe I just find usages of this. Okay, so what returns a keyframe entity? So at. All right, I mean, I guess I need to define each. It's like I need to define each keyframe, I guess. So, which is kind of annoying because I'm already doing that here. Like if I only have 2 keyframes. So I don't love that. But let's say, okay, so body translate key is 100 at 0, right? Or I guess it's 100 at 200. Is that a keyframe? And 0 at, you know, what, 500 with, like, will that work? Fast easing, fast out, linear in. What easings do they give me? So linear easing. I feel like these are not great easing constants. Fast out, low in. Like I feel like I just wanted to find like ease in and out, or just ease out, ease in, whatever. So I guess fast out, linear in. I don't know. Let's try that. Like, okay. I mean, so it makes sense that I can only ease between 2 keyframes. Like that makes sense to me. But it's weird because like the easing is really applied to it's really applied to like the range between these things. So I don't know. It's not like where my brain goes immediately. I don't even know if this will work because I don't know. I mean, the type system lets it work, but I'm not sure if this is defining what I think it is. So like I'm not sure if 200 and 500 are what I want here, like without this delay. So if I at false, this is going to be 0. So 0f at 0. Or do I want 200 here? So that's what I don't know. And then it's going to be 1f at 500. let's see what this does. So, I mean, I feel like that's working. I feel like, you know, there's some constants that we would want to tweak. Okay. So let's go back to our design here. So I mean, interestingly, I mean, this design actually staggers the actor images coming in, which is kind of it's a cool effect. It's also staggering each star of the stars here. Need to think about what we want to do there. Also, I mean, another subtle thing which we're not doing yet is the buy ticket button. It needs to expand with the body. Which, I mean, that's something that should be, you know, doable without much difficulty here, but I guess we'll want to, like right now, the transition that we're using to transform the body width is inside of the movie poster. And so the buy ticket button is outside of the movie poster. So we need to find a good way to like pass those or like define them in a consistent way or pass them along or something. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, like, I almost want a delay with the spraying. That would be kind of nice. It's kind of weird what that would physically mean, but okay. Saji asks, can you add delay times child index to each child inside card content? I mean, so I could programmatically compute several keys here, and then pass each key in to this like actor poster or something, if that's what you're asking about. Which might be a good way to do it. So the other thing is for this Good Boys poster inside the carousel. So this image here, yeah, this is what I kind of want to do. It's expanded background. Okay, I guess what I'm doing here is I'm translating the image 400 pixels, but I actually want I kind of want the center image to animate more. So I can do that because I have the index and the index fraction here. So maybe, let's see. Offset. So index minus index fraction. So this should be like something between like 0 and 1. And then here I can say so let's say it's 600 plus 200 times index offset. Yeah, let's see if that works. It's all happening so quickly. I need to slow some of this down. So where am I animating this? Okay, so I animate expanded here. So I think I'm gonna give it a very low stiffness. Let's see what that does. So Felix, I'm using the Dankmano font. And Sergey, let me read your question here. So Sergey asks, Compose is trying to keep all the units of the current dimension system, raw pixels, DP, SP, etc. SwiftUI and Flutter unite all of them to a single point system, if you're not mistaken. Shouldn't we do the same except for SP? For instance, modifier to on position or on size changes return size in raw pixels. The padding modifier only accepts DP units, and we must convert the given values between different unit systems. Yeah, so this is like a good question. I struggle with some of this too, but like, so here's some of the thinking behind it. So one, we try to make DP kind of like the thing. So this is sort of like density independent pixels, and the idea here is that like this should kind of map somewhat closely to like a physical size. Something that is like kind of percentage, like a reasonable percentage of some screen, which allows us to kind of define UI. So if you have like really high density displays, that like, all of these little widgets don't end up like super tiny physically. So that's the idea, which you probably already know, is sort of the idea behind DP. Now, let's say we made like DP the thing. One of the difficult aspects of that is that when we draw things on a canvas, a lot of times you want to make sure that certain things end up drawing exact pixels. So it's good in like the drawing layer to kind of think in terms of pixels. And then it's good in like the higher layers to think in terms of like DP. And that's kind of where a lot of that comes from. And then like SP is, for scaling font and stuff, and has some accessibility implications. At one point we tried to make it so that you could that like, so each of these units like had their own, like we had a DP class and a PX class and stuff like that. But we've moved away from having individual classes for all these things, and so now we just have DP as the class, and then ints are usually sort of like the pixel values or floats. The problem also is that the gesture system kind of works in terms of pixels, because that's like your device is actually giving us things in terms of pixels. We could convert these things as we pass them back up to you. We may do that. It's unclear if that's the right option or not. One of the things that we've tried to do is we've tried to make it so that converting between DP and pixels is kind of painful, because we want to try and push our APIs into a world where you don't have to convert them very often. And right now I would say that we've failed on that front. I think that we're right now there's way too many situations where you need to convert between the two, and I think that points to, like, potentially points to some problems in some APIs that we need to consider. And so, maybe we should consider having all of our event system pass things back up to you in DP, since they already know the density and everything. So that would be like one option. another option is that we could make it a lot easier to convert between the two. And that would be easier than you think. We've kind of avoided making these like really easy utilities. Like you don't actually need to do this like width density, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, we could make that easier inside of a composable function. But we've chosen not to, because I think it's probably not the right thing to do. I think, or I guess it's not that that's the wrong thing to do. What I think is that will make it just good enough that we don't actually solve the real problems. And so I think most of the time I need to convert between, you know, there's kind of a handful of cases where I need to convert between like pixels and DP, and I kind of cringe every time I need to, and we probably need to have deeper conversations about it and figure out if some bigger API changes need to be made. I don't know, either in the gesture system and some of the draw layers. Yeah, I don't know. Those are things that I think about. But I don't think you're wrong in that this is like a blemish on our API surface right now, and I'm not sure what the right answer is. Okay, so what were we doing? We had, okay, so we've now got like a much smaller stiffness, which, you know, doesn't look good, but it helps me visualize like what's actually happening, because my eyes can actually see it. So a few things are going on. One, it looks like the like, what is that? The image of the Joker in the back is like, it's jumping at the end there. And I'm not sure why. Wonder if this is part of the reason. Need to investigate there. Not sure. Because this is the image, and this is the image. That's 0 and 0. So this one depends on the selected index, which might be part of the problem. Yeah, no problem, Sergey. I mean, this is these are fun conversations to have, so I like that we can do this. So what is selected index? So this is offset to index. So I wonder if this is somehow changing at the last second. But it shouldn't be, because we're setting it right away. Animated offset, yeah. So maybe instead of the we should do expanded index. So this is fine. So let's say I'm gonna save this up here so that we can smart cast it. And then I want to say if the expanded index is not null, so is that gonna work? Should. Yeah, okay, got smart casted. See if that fixed it. Okay. Gosh, that's weird. Not sure what's going on there. So like, I wonder, let's just, well, okay. Let's go to the middle one. Yeah, so both of these. It looks like they're starting off all in the center. So like I kind of wonder if actually I think we're gonna just do this. So expanded index. So let's do that. Oops. And let's just like own everything here. So instead of this, let's just say yeah, that's fine. So we don't need the index fraction there. And we shouldn't ever need that, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay. Let's do this. And then I'm not going to do anything with offset anymore. So I don't want to do that. So then we'll just do like a translate X and translate Y here. And we can do something like that. So I think that maybe that's part of the problem, is that like because it's creating its own layer, that it's like drawing it off screen, and offset is animating elsewhere. I don't know. That feels like it could be a problem. Okay, so let's see. So this is just going to be constant. I don't actually know what that should be, but right now I don't care. I just want to see if this fixes it. Okay, that did fix it. So that's good. So now it looks like this is okay. So actually, I mean, I guess the question is, do we want to draw pictures that are posters that are like 2 places away? It's like if we're, so that kind of works properly. But we're passing in the wrong expanded fraction here, so actually we're not. So I wonder why those, I wonder why the alpha isn't getting animated. I guess it is, it's just that we're compositing on top, so okay. So maybe here we just don't, let's just not even render the image if so if index expanded index minus index So here we're just saying let's just render the images that are like one away from the current image. And that's fine. So then we won't render them on top of each other. So now what I kind of want to do is I want to kind of give this some bounce. So damping ratio. So let's give like a medium bouncy here. And then inside here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say I mean this I think this already happens, but if alpha goes above 1, I think it'll just render 100% alpha, so I don't think we need to do anything there. And then this seems good. Okay, so let's give that a shot. That might actually not look that bad if I turn the stiffness up, because it's right now it's too low. But so I think if I do stiffness, is medium the default? Yeah, stiffness medium. So I actually wonder what that looks like. Too much still. So I think low bouncy. Oh, but okay. So I didn't actually change that. Ugh. Yeah, it's just way too much. So I actually want to keep this low. Yeah. I mean that's not bad. There's more tweaking here that would obviously be needed, but gets us somewhat of an effect. Okay. All right, let's see. So it's been 2 hours, 45 minutes. I think at this point I'm gonna cut it for the day. We will do some more next week. So the dog fooding work on this app, I'll resume this Sunday. And then the next 2 streams are going to be me working on the compiler stuff. But yeah, I'm going to stop it there. Thanks for all the good discussion today. It was fun. And hopefully I'll see some of you on Wednesday. And yeah, thanks. Oh, Steven, is that you, man? It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in here. Yeah, the music's good. It's funny. I started listening to this music because I needed some like copyright free music for streaming, but now it's like actually just what I listen to normally because it's actually quite good. But yeah, let's catch up sometime later. But it's good to see you on here, and thanks for stopping by. All right, see you, everyone.